So here's the thing about the Dead. They were the house band at Ken Kesey's, the acid test parties. Yeah. And Owsley, Stanley, who turned out to be a decent sound engineer, was a highly technical person. He was a fantastic chemist, and he made all the LSD for those parties. And he wanted a place to sell it beyond just the San Francisco area.
Yeah.
So he had the idea to
the CIA
to take this band that was playing at Ken Kesey's parties and tour them around and use them as sort of the cover / traveling sales force to sell his LSD. Yeah. And so he funded their first tours.
I needed another reason to like the Dead. Now I have another reason to like the Dead.
Yeah. So he funded their tours, their first tour, and did sound for them and all the stuff because it was a business investment for him.
So insane.
Right.
It's so insane.
I know. And then people would come to the shows and take LSD and see the band, and they would have
it was the best band in the world.
Amazing experience, and they would equate it with the band. And
well, you know what they say, you know the joke. What did the Deadhead say when he ran out of drugs?
Yeah.
This band sucks.
Well, and here's the funny part. When I was in college, I played in this band, Go Figure, that I mentioned earlier.
Right.
We were invited to play at these parties that somebody called Gathering of the Tribes.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
It's still happening.
They fed everybody mushrooms at the party. These were house parties, private house parties, and we became the house band for these. We were a fairly well-known band at the University of Connecticut.
Right.
When we would play at like a bar, we'd have 200 to 300 people,
right.
That's
pretty good.
Which is really good. Which is why we were invited to play at these parties.
Right.
So we play at these parties, and then suddenly it was like 500, 1,000 people at the gigs. And it wasn't until decades later that...
You gotta go figure, they have the best drugs.
Well, it was like, no, we were a good band. We wrote good songs, like all of those things. But it wasn't until decades later that I realized, hey... there might have been another reason that people really suddenly got into the band and there were lines out the door.
Now, maybe I'm not being fair. I'm probably not being fair.
Yeah.
But I have a highly technical ear.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Very sensitive ear, even though I'm losing my hearing. I don't get it. Now, it doesn't mean that they're not good. I don't think they're good.
But again, like we were saying before, there's subjectiveness
It's subjective,
of it. Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a whole, specifically about the Dead, there's a whole conspiracy about the Dead, too, that the CIA and the government was involved. And
of course.
Some awesome, crazy stories.
We were talking about this before. I emotionally support all conspiracy theories.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said to you, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you.
That's correct. All right. So
my point is that I don't think I'm being fair to Trey and the rest of the band. I only know Trey's name because Trey wrote a musical.
Right.
A Broadway musical.
Yeah. Hands on a Hard Body.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Beautiful story. A very American story.
Didn't do well. And it had but that's okay.
Pulitzer Prize winning writers involved. Like it just wasn't commercial.
Right.
And it's funny coming from somebody like Trey Anastasia. Is that the right way to say it?
Anastasio.
I don't even know.
And
that's my ignorance of it. And I think, to be fair, that I don't have the LSD eyes, right? I don't have I've been listening to this band for a long time. For me, it's like I've heard this and this. The big hit for me that I heard was Bouncing Around the Room. That was the one radio hit.
Yep.
And I used to change the channel because it was
you didn't like that.
I was like,
okay, this is what I wanted to get to is I want to find you to go back to however many minutes it was, 23 minutes ago.
Right.
13 minutes ago. It
seems like 23.
Boy, doesn't it? And that's to me, and you folks are the ones listening.
Yes.
Still.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
No, I'm apologizing to the audience.
So that I know who you are. Yeah. Everything always sounds like it's being played by Fish because it's being played by Fish. But they do have a lot of different styles of music that they've played and different, different albums have very different sounds
and they've been
different
around
types
for
of
a
songs.
long time.
They're around for 40 years. Yeah, exactly.